The night the HOA planted tiki torches on my father's beach, something in me cracked. I'm not easy to rattle. I'm a small-town homeowner with rough hands, an honest back, and a habit of beating the sun out of bed. My dad taught me to read a deed like a Bible verse and treat the land like a family name. That sandy curve we call the beach has been ours since the county first drew it in fountain pen inklong before the HOA. The matched shingles and the glossy blacktop. Dad built a cedar dock there with his own hands. Mom brought iced tea in mason jars. After church, we'd cast a line, talk about nothing, and somehow cover everything. Friday night, I eased the truck around the cottonwoods and saw orange flicker across the sand. Tiki torches. Music thumped from a rented rig. Coolers lined up like parade floats. A folding table with a cash box. And in the middle stood Brent Caldwell, the HOA President, whistle around his neck like he was coaching summer camp. Evening, said, welcoming me to my own land. Community beach party. Wristbands are 10. Kids 5. This is my property, Brent. He gave me that soft, pitying smile they like to call neighborly. Call it condescending. Shoreline's common access, he said. We voted. Eased last year? Show me, I said. Show me the easement. He tapped the cash box. Tonight isn't the time for paperwork. A weekend neighbor popped a bottle like he'd won the Indy 500. Kids sprinted by with sparklers. Past the rope where we marked the shallow rocks, someone had a pontoon tied off and a grill going. I wasn't shouting. My anger starts low, like a motor. I called the sheriff. The deputy knew, men knew Dad. He rolled in calm, lights low, heard both sides like a seesaw trying to stay level. Brent said community access a dozen times, easement like it was a spell. The deputy looked at the torches, the wristbands, the cooler full of beer changing hands for cash, then sighed. Keep it peaceful tonight. We'll sort the paperwork next week. Peaceful. On my beach. While Brent blew his whistle and told folks to keep it down after 11 because of the neighbors, which apparently meant me. I left before my mouth outran my sense. Back at the porch, cicadas sang. The light hummed. Hannah, my wife, stood waiting with her phone. She'd filmed from the top of the hill. You okay? She asked. On her screen, Brent's whistle bobbed as he took cash. Rubber wristbands climbed his arm. She swiped to the HOA's private Facebook post, Community Beach Party Fundraiser for Lake Improvements. Selling my sand for a fundraiser, I said. Hannah touched my shoulder. Your father always said people test you not with words, with lines. He said a line on a deed is a promise, I told her. A promise you defend. By morning, beer cans sprouted in the grass like silver mushrooms. The sand was chewed up. My dock rail had a fresh screw hole where somebody tied off in a hurry. I walked the edge under the cottonwoods. Old survey stakes were half buried like bones. I brushed one clear with my boot-faded orange rebar winking in the sun. I knew those points by heart. Dad had sung the meets and bounds like poetry. From the big oak to the bend in the creek, then 72 feet to the iron. I took slow dated photos from each corner. Then I called 2 people. Maritha Surveyor, who still keeps a paper map room like a museum, and Whitaker. My old friend who remembers where the lines were before anyone argued about them. Marie answered on the first ring. Still using that 58 plat? She asked. County digitized it last year and made soup. I've got the original deed, I said. And last night, the HOA threw a party on it. I'll be there Tuesday, she said, voice like a door latch. Whitaker showed up at lunch with cinnamon rolls and a tin of nails. We'll mark your corners fresh, he said, so even a man who can't read knows where not to stand. He scanned the trampled switchgrass and shook his head. Your daddy wouldn't have liked this. He'd tell me to fix it the right way, I said. That night, I tucked 2 trail cams into the cottonwoods and hid a third in a fake birdhouse on the dock piling. Charged the drone. Programmed an hourly shoreline sweep. Dad taught me a rule. Evidence beats argument. Sunday afternoon, Karen from 2 doors down marched up the drive, clipboard like a bayonet. Wonderful event, she said. The community loved it. Be neighborly. Support Brent. Sold alcohol on my land, I said. You charged admission. Donations. She smiled. And the shore is common? Not on paper, I said. Not in the eyes of the law. We voted last spring, she snapped. Simple majority. Votes don't rewrite deeds, I said. And an HOA isn't a kingdom? Her eyes went flat. You'll find you're outnumbered. I looked past her to the glass-flat lake. A heron lifted slow from the cattails. Sometimes standing up for what's right, I said mostly to myself, means standing alone. That night, the cameras blinked. The drone purred. And under the cottonwoods, I made a folder with a plain name. Beach evidence. I didn't know how far it would go. Prison felt like a big word. But I knew this much. I wasn't about to let my father's sand be sold by the handful. Tuesday, Marie's white survey truck crunched down my gravel like a promise kept. Ball cap, boots, thermos, war face. She unrolled onion skin maps, so thin you could see history through them, and set her tripod at the big oak where the line meets the lake like a handshake. County's GIS calls this HOA common, she said, squinting at her tablet, but the 58 meets and bounds disagree. Let's find out who's wrong. Out. We walked the line. The sun already had teeth. The lake smelled like summer. I pointed old rebar. She found iron pins with the detector. The beeps felt like a heartbeat. You're right, she said finally. Your lot runs to the ordinary high water mark. That's the sand. No platted access. Whoever taught them otherwise needs a class. Yes. Put it in writing. I'll do better boundary affidavit. We'll record it. When someone says common access, your paper will sing. We flagged fresh steak bright ribbons snapping like minnows. I shot photos with time stamps burned in. Dad would have approved. Mark, what's yours? He said, so no one can pretend they didn't know. That night I pulled the SD cards. The birdhouse cam saw everything. The next party hadn't even waited a week. Brent counted 20s. The cash box looked heavy. The speaker rig thumped. A kid maybe 17 traded cash for a red cup. Karen shooed folks off my dock like she owned the slats. At 10:42, a bottle rocket sizzled into the switchgrass. A man stomped it out with a flip-flop and laughed. My jaw ached from the clench. I laid the file like brick. Survey photos, original deed, the plat with the date circled. Screen recordings of Brent's fundraiser posts. Drone footage of the cash table. A still of the sign, wristbands, $10 supports Lake Committee. I printed the HOA bylaws and highlighted 2 sections NOA spending without a vote. No entry onto private property without permission, till they glowed yellow. Whitaker brought bait shop gossip. Word is Brent's cousin notarized an easement, he said. Backdated. Sloppy enough to fool folks who stop at page 1? Forgery? I asked. Maybe just arrogance. Power makes men careless. I went to the county recorder. The clerks, someone who's known me since we were kids, slid the big book across like we were sharing a casserole. Yes, there's a shoreline easement filed by the HOA, she said, but it doesn't attach to your parcel. It's against an outlot that never conveyed. Paper soup? Certified copy? I asked. She smiled. Figured you'd want one. I traced the legal description with my finger and felt my chest loosen. The easement didn't touch me. Not an inch. Worse for them, the notary seal was Brent's cousin. And dated a week she posted beach photos from 3 states away. Wrong date. Newer stamp than she had back then. Into the file it went. I don't love courtrooms. I believe most things can be fixed on a porch with coffee. But a porch won't fix a man who confuses we voted with. We have the right. So I went back to the Sheriff Manila folder bowed with paper. Same deputy. Different eyes. Alcohol sales. He asked. Cash box, I said. Minors drinking. No permit? Forged easement? At minimum, a backdated notarization, I said. And trespass after notice. Corners are marked, he whistled. We'll loop in the county attorney. Ring the fire marshal, I said, thinking of the rocket. Maybe the game warden. They lit fireworks over a protected shoreline. We get turtle nests some summers, he wrote, pen scratching like crickets. When's the next fundraiser? I showed him the email. Lake Committee luau, kids free. Donations encouraged. It walks like a sale, he murmured. It's a sale, I said. Friday, I sat in the back of the HOA meeting, hat in my lap. Brent ran the room like a cruise director. He loved the word we, meaning me. I asked a polite question about lake improvement budgets. He flashed numbers that looked poured from a bag. No receipts, no vendors. Trust, he said. My molars ground. During member comments, I read my legal descriptions, low and clear. Chairs squeaked. Brent cut me off. Not the time. It's my time, I said. I'm a member, and you're using my shore as a cash register. A few folks clapped before they remembered not to. In the lot, Brent crowded me. You're making trouble. People like you think rules don't apply when they help the community. That's why they're called rules, I said. He gave a dry laugh. You're one man, Tom. Sometimes one man is enough. That night, the cameras went up again. The drone bathed. Hannah packed water like I was pulling a long watch. I laid my hand on Dad's cedar rail, still warm from the day. Help me be patient, I whispered to Dad, to the lake, to God. Help me be right, not just loud. Saturday, I let the sun drop and the torches flare. Let the whistle blow. Let the cash box open. When donations hit 20 ahead and the first Roman candles screamed, I dialed the deputy's number. It's time, I said. No crowing. No spite, just time. Blue-red lights drifted down the lane like a second sunset. No siren, no show, just presence. The deputy stepped out first, brim low, eyes working. The fire marshal followed with a clipboard. The game warden rolled in behind them, badge flashing like a fish scale. Then an investigator from the county attorney got out of an unmarked SUV. Nobody rushed. They just walked. Brent met them like he owned the beach. Officers, great to have you. Community event. No issues. The deputy looked at the cash box, then at the wristbands. Is this a sale of alcohol? Donations, Brent said. Completely voluntary. The deputy lifted a wristband and read the sign. Wristbands, $10. He nodded at a kid with a red cup. How old are you, son? 17, the boy said, cup frozen mid-sip. Silence fell. The music died so fast the air felt empty. The fire marshal tapped baskets of fireworks stacked by the willow, grass dry as hay. These yours? Brent started talking too fast. We have permits. It's a fundraiser, common shore. Let's see the easement, the investigator said, calm as a napkin request. Brent produced a folded paper like a dove from a sleeve. The investigator read it, then compared it to his printout. His face didn't move, but his fingers tightened on the page. This easement doesn't touch this parcel, he said. And the notary stamp where? Did you get this notarized? My cousin is a Brent, caught himself. Notary, on April 14th. The investigator asked, pen ready? Interesting. She posted from Destin that week. Also, this seal is a later version than she had then. He never said forgery. He didn't need to. The word hung over the torches like smoke. The deputy turned to me. Mr. Lawson, do you consent to this event on your property? No, sir, I said. I gave notice, marked my corners, asked them to stop. The deputy nodded once and faced Brent. At minimum, criminal trespass and sale of alcohol without a permit, potential contributing to the delinquency of a minor, fireworks in a restricted area. The county attorney will sort the rest. Cups got dropped. Coolers shut. The music hiccuped flat. Karen tried a speech about community spirit. The deputy listened like a man listening to rain. Then he pointed to the fresh orange flags lifting in the breeze. That flag, he said gently, is a line. Lines matter. No TV drama. No cuffs yet. They issued citations. Took statements. Photographed the cash box, wristbands, fireworks, and the donation sign someone had pitched under the pontoon. The game warden walked the cattails and marked crushed nests. The fire marshal gave a calm lecture about dry grass and common sense. That made me want to shake his hand. When the last cruiser rolled away, the sand felt like a church after a funeral. Soft voices. Cooler air, a lake licking the shore like a cat cleaning its paws. Hannah slid her hand into mine. "You were steady," she said. "Your dad would be proud." I didn't win anything, I told her. I just stopped losing. 2 weeks later, the county attorney filed charges, formal words in formal font. Criminal trespass. Sale of alcohol without a permit. Falsifying public records under review. It sounded big because it was big. Not because I wanted a man in prison. Lord knows I don't. But because folks needed to remember the difference between vote and law. Between we want and we may. The HOA held an emergency meeting in the elementary school gym. Where the flag hangs too big and the floor smells like varnish and sneakers, people showed up who've never shown up, angry, ashamed, or just tired of trust us. They asked where the lake money went, why the party was on private land, why the board claimed an easement without counsel. It wasn't a hanging. It was a reckoning. Brent tried to resign before the vote. They didn't let him. They voted him out, then accepted his resignation as an afterthought. Karen shot me a look sharp enough to cut rope. I looked away. This wasn't vengeance. This was about lines and promises and the quiet that follows when you keep both. A week later, the new board regular folks with regular jobs came to my porch with coffee, pie, and humility. They asked permission to host one community cleanup on the public side and to coordinate on shoreline health. On your terms, the new president said. We want to do it right. I said yes with conditions. No sales, no fireworks. No crowds on my beach. We shook hands. I replaced the wristband table with a simple sign, Private Shore, by permission only. Under it, in smaller letters, respect given is respect returned. Dad would have liked that. On a still evening, I carried a cedar marker to the high water line under the cottonwoods and ran my hand over the letters. Lawson Shore, in memory of John and Ruth. The woods smelled like warmth in years. I heard Dad's laugh when a base hit the line. Saw Mom's ICT rings on the rail. The slow, patient way a family turns a place into a home. The lake was calm again, and for the first time in years, so was I. I won't pretend this fixes every HOA. Some are good. Some lose their way. But that night, when the torches guttered and the noise fell out of the air, I learned something. Justice doesn't always boom like fireworks. Sometimes it clicks like a latch, simple, right? Satisfying in your hand? Sometimes standing up for what's right means standing alone, at least until others find the courage to stand with you. Have you faced an HOA like this? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone, and your story might help someone else. If you believe some fights are worth having, fights for family, for legacy, for the little lines that keep communities honest, hit subscribe. Let's stand up together.